Well, hi. Welcome into a brew day and a video about making beer. Today is a beer called a stout. A stout is a dark beer, dark grains, and that's what I'm making. This beer is inspired by the Black is Beautiful beer movement. That was a year ago to the day that this started. This is a movement that was started by Weathered Souls Brewing, and last year there was just brewed to help the cause to fight against racism. And I brewed a beer, a bunch of home brewers brewed a beer, and the idea was to brew a beer of every shade of dark malt, and just to raise awareness, and the proceeds went to places. You can look a lot more about this blackisbeautiful.beer if you still want to learn more about it. And I decided to make this an annual beer I would brew. And that's what this is. I'm doing a little bit of a spin on it. Last year was just straight up a bunch of dark malts, and that was pretty much it. It was Columbus hops. Turned out great. I still have like 3 or 4 bottles, and they're aging beautifully. And let me go through the grain bill for this. My grain bill for this is 15% flaked oats. It's a lot, but flake barley. So we got 6% chocolate malt, 4.8% black patent, 4.8% crystal 120, and 2.5% roasted barley. And that's it for the grain bill. I took 1 or 2 of the dark grains out there just to kind of change it up a little bit, but this is still in honor of the Black is Beautiful beer. And I am going to add a little bit of lactose to this. Right now I'm targeting 6% right at the end of the boil. I wanted a little bit of a lactose sort of milk stout sort of thing going on here. I'm also doing a little bit less alcohol. I think it's like 7.5% I'm going for. Columbus hops is the same, and then WLP001 is the yeast. And I probably am going to add chocolate to 1/2 of this. It's also been exactly a year since I brewed the Black is Beautiful beer in 2020. Like pretty much to the day. Let's do this. So dark grains, along with some calcium, can actually lower your pH. I added no lactic acid to this. That is straight up just dark grains, some calcium, and 5.3. That's my target on average. So for what it's worth, I also was using pure distilled water, nothing from the tap. The salts I added were about 120 chloride and about 50, 60 calcium, and about 50 to 60, maybe 70, I think it was 70 sulfate. So for those using dark grains, maybe take a pH reading first before adding lactic acid to see where you're at. You could be right where you need to be from the beginning. Pretty cool. I'm showing a 1050 pre-boil gravity. My target was 1060. I usually don't mash in my dark grains. I usually add it afterward to help with some sort of that burnt flavor. This time and the last time for the Black is Beautiful beer, I put the grains directly in the mash with it. Maybe the way the wort is coming through darker, it's showing different than what it actually is. I could do an actual hydrometer reading, but I don't feel like doing that. Maybe afterward at the brew day, I'll get an accurate reading. I just have a hard time believing this is this low when my efficiency has been closer to like 70%. I'm going to pretend this is at 1060, just for the fun of it. As you saw, it's at 1050. It's the same reading as I got on my refractometer, so it's not the refractometer. It's just what I got. I don't know why I got really bad efficiency. It's at like 55%. Same thing happened last time with this. I'm going to add some DME to this to bump it up a little bit. I think like 1/2 pound. And that's okay. These things happen. Or at least happen to me. All right, I have not looked at this yet. If I'm anywhere between 1065 and 1075, even upwards of 1080, I'll be happy. Somewhere in that huge ballpark. I'm showing 1075, but the line's a little blurry, so it's hard to fully tell, but somewhere between there. Somewhere around 1075. We'll take it. I think I was doing for like 1079, 1078, somewhere right there. So had DME all good. The lactose amount was about right from the Beersmith program, half a pound. I got WLP001. I'm tempted just to do just a half pack in each. It's a little more than probably needed, but I can't really save this. It's very, very difficult. If I were to pitch a little bit, whatever. So we'll see. Let me add this right now and kind of eyeball in each gallon right now. Okay, that's pretty much the whole packet. There's some goops left in there, but and one of them I'm gonna add cocoa nibs to, and yeah, and probably just bottle from there. So let's continue on. The next step, I got cacao nibs, also known as cocoa nibs. I got 4 ounces of TCHO. I've used these before, this brand, and if I recall correctly, and they were good. So here I am again. I'm not going to use all 4 ounces. I'm going to use 0.8 ounces. Let me get the beer, or one of them, one of the gallons. Here it is, all done fermenting. What I ideally like to do here is submerge the nibs. I don't really have a way to do that in this 1 gallon jug. In the past, I have done it in a keg, submerged it there, pulled it out, and I can just carb right there in the keg. Unfortunately, my kegs are being used. I hate to do it this way, but that's only a gallon of it, and I haven't done it this way in a while. So let's see how it goes. So I did not sanitize that. I just dumped it in. I have not been sanitizing some fruits recently and things like that. It's so unlikely to get contaminated. You probably should sanitize though. Maybe a lot of people soak them in vodka first for a while, maybe like a week. Let's see what happens. It's also in the primary. I didn't transfer it. So in like 2-3 days, I'm gonna transfer it off, bottle it, and then yeah, let's go to the tasting. The tasting. This year's batch with no nibs. This year's batch with the nibs. Last year's batch straight up. I'm going to compare all 3. Let me start off with saying that there was a little bit of mold that grew on the top of the nibs. I only waited like 3 days, maybe 4. Take a look. See right there the little white stuff on the nibs. It's okay though. What I did is I put the siphoning tube slowly inside as not to disturb or roll over the mold, siphon from below it, and then when there's like that much left, I just dumped the rest of the beer that was in the jug. Let's get right to this. So this is the regular this year. By the way, before I actually drink this, look at the gravity on this. Look at the gravity finishing. That's showing 1034. So I think the lactose has something to do with that. It's my guess. So we're showing at like 5% alcohol, but I put like 6% unfermentable sugar in this. So I think that's why it's showing higher than it is. I think would have gotten down closer to like 1020 or somewhere in that range, maybe lower. The WLP001 that I used is usually really reliable with fermenting down. So that's my theory anyway, and I'm sticking to it. Let's taste this. It smells pretty good. Kind of raisiny. Not much roast to it. It smells kind of chocolatey, actually, considering there's no chocolate in this one. Nice kind of roasty, chocolatey smell, but more chocolate than roast. That's nice. A little tannicky, maybe. Maybe a little ashy in the taste, more than I would like. If I recall, last year's was a little more rounded. We'll get to that, though. Not very sweet, though. I mean, considering there's like that much residual sugars in there, that much lactose, tastes pretty dry. I'm glad there is lactose in there. I don't know how dry this would have been. That is pretty nice, but a little more ashy and like cigarette taste than I would like. Let's go with the nibs. They smell about the same to me. There's almost like a wine sort of smell to both of them. It's really interesting. like a grapey sort of thing, like an estery, but not like banana, like grape in particular. They smell identical to me. They taste almost identical. Because I know what they are, I think the one with the chocolate nibs, the cocoa nibs, would be a little bit chocolatier, just by a hair, and a little less ashy. But blinded, I don't know, to be honest with you. I wish I sunk the nibs, and I wish I let them go longer. Maybe like a full week. I think would have been just nice. That was user error. That was my fault for not executing that properly. This still tastes pretty good though. Both of them. These have been overcarbonated. Like every other bottle on my old batches have been overcarbonated. Some must have got contaminated. That's okay though. These things happen. It's really not a big deal. Are you done yet? Are you done? It's so funny. Literally 1 out of every 2 is like that. Could be the bottles when washed out perfectly. It's okay though. So this smells a little older. It smells a lot less roasty. Slightly more oxidized, but like in a metallic kind of way. Like copper almost. Obviously it's a little more carbonated, but it tastes better. I noticed the last year's batches, you know, granted some were overcarbonated or got too carbonated in the bottle. The ones that weren't like that were definitely more well-rounded, even from the very beginning. Less ashy. None of that grape smell. Just a good, well-made stout. Let's even get a little more actual carbonation in this. There we go. There we go. That's a proper looking beer right there. There you have it. It's a good recipe. I'm going to do it every year. I'll try and keep a couple bottles of each year. The one from last year, I might only have like 1 left. So I'll try and save that for next year and then do a comparison. Be kind of cool to stack these up over time and see. Play with the variants a little bit. But there you go. Thank you for watching. And yeah, I'll see you next time.